Hey, welcome back to Livin MN Outdoors. I'm Daniel, and thanks for tuning in to this week's ice and fishing report. Before we dive into this week's report, just want to give a huge shout out to LH Custom Rods for sponsoring this week's fishing report. And with that being said, let's dive into the report. All right, we're going to start up on Lake Winnie out of the Pines Resort on Tamarack Bay. They are currently sitting on 12.5 inches plus of ice. Actually, a lot closer to that 13, 14 inches everywhere. But there are some spots with 12.5 inches, so I figured I would mention that. Now, as far as snow cover, not a lot of snow left out there. Some spots maybe 4 inches, but a lot of spots less than that. And as far as vehicle and wheelhouse restrictions go, they are starting to let out half-ton trucks pulling single-axle wheelhouses. I do want to remind you that that is for Tamarack Bay only. Don't venture out past Tamarack Point or out onto the main lake. There is less ice out on the main lake, but there is good, safe ice in the bay, good enough to hold a single-axle wheelhouse pulled by a half-ton truck. Now, as far as the fishing goes, the walleye bite, there are two different areas that the walleyes are being picked up. There's a shallow bite and then a little bit deeper bite. The first one, 8 to 12 foot of water on sand grass mix. They're catching them on dead sticks with small sucker minnows, fat heads. The bigger the fat head, the better. On a plain red or white hook is working best. And then jigging spoons, white, pink and purple, those are working very well for the walleyes. Now, out deeper, that 18 to 24 foot of water, they're catching them on the edges of the humps and on some of the deeper sand flats out there. Just like up in shallow, they're getting them on shiners, small sucker minnows, on dead sticks with those plain red and white hooks. And then as far as jigging goes, those tungsten buckshot spoons or similar spoons to that in white, pink, or pink and purple have been producing some really nice fish. Now, as far as the perch bite goes, there are not a lot of perch out in those deeper waters yet. They're still up in shallow, finding the majority of those in that sand grass mix in that 8 to 12 foot of water, getting those on plain red hooks with a fat head or jigging a small spoon tipped with a minnow head or some waxworms is picking up some of those nice perch as well. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes, the crappies have been very elusive out there so far this winter. They are starting to pick up some more. The big bluegills in Tamarack Bay there look in that 7 to 10 foot of water along the weeds. Getting those on a small tungsten jig with a waxworm or some spikes is working well for those. Now, as far as the pike go, there are pike absolutely everywhere out there. If you put down any sort of minnow or jig a flashy spoon, you're gonna tag into some pike. So if that is what you're looking for, Tamarack Bay is the place to be. Now, the Pines Resort, they do have spear houses available this weekend and throughout the season. They have day houses for fishing available this weekend. They have cabins available, full bar and restaurant, live bait, fish cleaning shack. Whatever you need, they have it up at the Pines Resort. So go ahead and give Chad a call and get your trip booked. Now, if you're looking to book a sleeper house out on Lake Winnie, Scott from zupsguideservice, he will have 5 ice castles out on Winnie this year. He does have some weekend availability left with quite a bit of weekday availability. He will be in Tamarack Bay chasing perch and walleyes primarily with some bonus eelpout, pike, and panfish. So if you're looking to get up to Lake Winnie in a sleeper house, go ahead and call Scott from zupsguideservice. All right, now moving down to Leech Lake. I talked to Kyle from Acorn Hill Resort. With all the snow they got and then this warm temperature, they are dealing with some issues out on the ice. The majority of the bay has 10 to 12 inches of good ice, but they are watching one specific area where they're finding about 7 inches, and they're dealing with a crack or two as well. So they are going to be closed for this coming weekend, but hoping to open up the weekend immediately after Christmas. Now, Acorn Hill Resort, they do have day houses, sleeper houses, guided perch trips, cabins, full barn restaurant, indoor pool, anything you need to make your trip a huge success up on Leech Lake, Acorn Hill Resort can provide. So if you're looking to get up to Leech Lake starting the day after Christmas, go ahead and call Kyle from Acorn Hill Resort. All right, moving over to Mille Lacs Lake. Up on the north end of Mille Lacs Lake, they have 8 to 10 inches of ice out about 3/4 of a mile or just beyond that. Starting to see a lot of ATVs, snowmobiles, side-by-sides venturing out there, mostly fishing that first and second break. The walleye bite has been pretty decent, and a lot of perch are being caught. You got to weed through a ton of little ones, but there are some really nice perch out there as well. Now, as far as the east side of Mille Lacs Lake, from Hunters Point, Liebex, Agate Bay, they're finding anywhere from 9 to 11 inches out there, letting out side-by-sides, ATVs, snowmobiles out on the east side of the lake. Definitely check in with the resort that you're planning to go out of or the public access. If you do that, make sure you're checking the ice as you go, but pretty decent ice out on the east side of the lake. Now, down in the southern bays of Mille Lacs Lake, there is about 12 inches plus of ice down there. Some of the resorts are starting to allow out single axle wheelhouses pulled by UTVs. I did see that some of them are even offering a dolly service. They will pull your fish house out for you and let you drive a half-ton truck out yourself, just not pulling your fish house yet. Now, as far as how to catch those walleyes out there, big minnows seem to be the key out there. Small sucker minnows, big shiners. A jigging spoon with a full fat head has been working as well. And they are catching some really nice walleyes out on Mille Lacs Lake. The bite has definitely been better this winter than last. And then as far as the perch go, a small jigging spoon with a minnow head or some wax worms. You do have to weed through a bunch of little ones to get some big ones, but there are some nice perch to be had as well. Now, as far as the pike fishing goes, especially down on the southern bays, they are getting some really nice pike. Big sucker minnows below a tip up seems to be the best, and you're probably going to tag into 1 or 2 as you are jigging a spoon as well. All right, now as far as the local report goes, I've been out in the Isanti area, Princeton area, Onamia. I am finding anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of ice. A lot of four-wheelers are starting to venture out. I've seen some side-by-sides. If you're going to take a side-by-side out right now, I highly recommend checking the ice as you go, because I have drilled some spots where I wouldn't be comfortable taking a side-by-side, and I definitely tend to lean on the more liberal side of taking stuff out on the ice. So if I'm saying be cautious, I would definitely be cautious and check as you go with a side-by-side. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes on the local lakes, finding a lot of those panfish up in tight to the weed lines yet in that 8 to 12 foot of water. I do suspect that they're going to start to push out a little bit deeper here soon, but a small tungsten jig with a waxworm or a itty bitty plain hook with a crappie minnow is producing some really nice fish as of late. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's fishing report. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you could do us a huge favor, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything and just takes a couple of seconds. Share it out with a buddy. If you do make it out fishing, you can send us some pictures either to our Facebook or to our Gmail, and we will do our best to feature you in next week's fishing report. If you do make it out, just remember, be kind to other fishermen. Don't crowd your neighbor. Pick up your trash. If you pack it out, pack it back in. And most importantly, don't forget to get on out there and get living.